Peace, fam. Hi, I'm Uju. I'm here in the lab with the beautiful, graceful, kind-hearted Leanne. Hello.
Hello, everyone. How are
Yes,
you?
yes. And Leanne was dropping some really beautiful jewels. So we were talking about the power of letting God's light shine within you and really just what it means to embody the light of God and to express it. And Leanne was sharing a really beautiful point. You was making a really beautiful point about your battles. What was you just saying?
So I definitely was speaking on one day. I dropped my baby girl off at school. And after I was leaving from the school, I'm walking across the street, just minding my own business. And some man hollered out to me and said, "Hey, sis, keep smiling. Because your smile made me want to smile." And I stopped to say, "Thank you, sir, for pointing that out. But it's not me, it's God. And it's the God in me that is illuminating and choosing the peace." Because
Choose the
sorry,
peace.
I'm
No,
so
go ahead, sis, because
yes.
I'm agreeing
And
with you.
I had to say, this man doesn't even know what I'm going through, the storms that are brewing in the pit of my stomach and my intuition, what bubbling up to my heart, the things that could have brought me down this day. But to choose to focus on God and His peace and His light, to know that when I said my prayers that day, I said, "Lord, I'm leaving this right here with you." So I trust that I don't have to pick it back up.
And you know what's really interesting? Regardless of whatever those circumstances, the storms might be, in that moment, you experience peace, you experience love, you experience almost what I could say a taste of heaven, right? You experience God's grace because you chose
Because it's a
God's grace. You chose God's grace. So I just wanted to share because you made some really beautiful points that I wanted to really expand on. You know what I'm saying? So
yes.
first of all, you chose happiness, right? You were experiencing circumstances that you could have chosen to respond to with misery. You could have held on to the negativity that those circumstances might cause. You could have carried it into that moment, right? But you chose not to. You chose to remove that, what I could call a filter, and to let God's light shine anyway. You chose happiness,
Amen. We took
okay?
this green off. We don't have to shade our light. We can
Yes.
pull that shade back
Now, what I want to demonstrate is that's a choice.
every day.
It is a choice that we
Amen.
always have the power to make, regardless of what is happening in any given moment. In any given moment, we can choose peace.
You said ego. Ego is a thing of man. We will suffer from it every time we allow it to control or rule our lives.
Yeah.
It's up to us.
I just wanted, that's a really beautiful observation right there. Ego, and it's a thing. I think that we're never really without our ego. I think it's just a matter of learning how to exist peacefully with your ego and to control it in a way to master your ego so that it doesn't distort your judgment and cloud your vision. So it doesn't filter your light. So it doesn't put a shade over your light, over God's light that's meant to shine through us from within. A lot of times we damper it because of ego. And I'm just really grateful that you shared that experience because with Leanne choosing, despite whatever circumstances she's going through, she still exercised her right to be happy. And she still exercised what it means to be one with God. And so that's why I really emphasize the decision of peace, what it means to choose peace, because we're always one with God. We're always within God's grace. God's grace is always extended to us. So when I say God's grace, peace of mind, peace of spirit, calmness of spirit, regardless of what's happening around you, being able to be grounded within your space, grounded within your being, and to weather the storm, right? That is God's grace extended to us because that's what grounds us. And it's always available and we can access it through our decisions at any time. So I just encourage people to be mindful of when you're going through something and the ego will tell you, or societal programming will tell you, no, you should be irate, you should be angry, you should be rageful, you should be mean, you should be miserable right now, you should be an asshole, you should be, you know what I'm saying, all these things. Nah, you don't really have to. You can always choose peace. Relationships. Oh, that's what I was thinking about. It's too much for me to try to break it down. Grace came, suppose, when ego got involved. That's when people started to judge what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's
When
bad.
Adam and Eve knew that they were naked and God challenged them, but God challenged the man. And so this is a whole nother story that we started talking about because, baby, don't get me started because we're going good places. We're going to get off track, but I'm going to stick to God
The
came to
man.
the man, the leader. He created the man. And then when he created his man, he knew he didn't want man to be alone. So that's another hard lesson that we have to, sometimes we want to retreat and we want to go high and we turn away from people because we think that they have nothing for us. But when we go back to the beginning,
Yeah, we were made to be in community.
amen.
We were not made to build
And
walls
woman
up.
came from his rib, which is his side. And as someone in the medical field, when we understand what the rib does,
How it supports the body, how integral the core, period.
from the
How
front,
integral
the
it is to
side,
the body.
and the
Absolutely.
back. Okay,
Absolutely.
so we got to understand as women, that is why God chose the rib. He always wanted us to.
Because we could have definitely came from the thigh bone.
We could have came from the bottom of it. God didn't bring us from his toes for
Nope.
him to
We
step
came
on
from the
us.
rib.
And he didn't bring us from his skull to be above him. He brought us from his rib to be alongside of him, from the front, the side, and the back, all angles. That is a woman's purpose. And it's beautiful when the ladies tap into that. We understand that simple assignment.
Oh, that's deep. You get some thoughts on that. I think it's actually very beautiful. And I think that there's a chain reaction that happens between men and women. It's crazy because when the divine feminine has space to express, so basically when a woman feels safe and protected and loved and appreciated, all of those things, naturally the divine feminine will express. And that divine feminine is healing and supportive to the masculine's expression. You know what I'm saying? So it really is a chain reaction.
The women, they grow the food, they make the food. Women have the power to heal in every aspect. We are the spiritual warriors. When things are happening, that's what they bring the women together and they go to spiritual warfare on every angle.
I feel like women, we are like divine conductors. We're like divine amplifiers, right? Like you give us a seed, we will give you fruit. You give us a house, we will give you a home. You know what I'm saying? Like you give us inspiration, we'll give you the universe.
Because God said, be fruitful and multiply.
And we're the key to that.
Amen.
Like we are the key, the feminine energy. And I'm not just saying women, period. The feminine principle is the key to that. So even when we consider how this, because as above, so below, right? So even when we consider this in the terms of thought, of consciousness, so you have the masculine principle, which is the conscious mind, and then you have the feminine principle, which is the subconscious mind, right? You need both to come together and work in alignment to create, to manifest intentionally. Now, correct. You know what I'm saying? So the subconscious is the key. Now, the subconscious does not work on its own. It works from the directive of the conscious. You know what I'm saying? But when the conscious gives the subconscious an idea, it will give you the idea manifested. And that's like how women are with men. Like if the man gives the woman a seed, she will give you life.
She will absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like women, we play a very divine role in that because we truly are like divine portals, I think. We're divine amplifiers. If we're in our rightful space, the world is bountiful. The world will be fruitful because of the role that we serve. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's crazy because it's almost like the cat chasing its tail, almost like what's the beginning, what's the end? Yeah, because it's like, where do we start the healing process, right? Like, how do we get back into alignment? And I truly believe, I believe that the healing between the masculine and the feminine starts on the individual level. You know what I'm saying? We'll learn to embrace ourselves and to feel safe within ourselves. Because I think that a lot of the threats that we perceive on the outside of us, hypersensitivities, that are reflected back to us that started within, right? For example, I recognize that. I think we all have hypersensitivities, right? I have a hypersensitivity to being disrespected by men. So I have no tolerance for that shit. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that might have caused me to respond to certain things, like maybe the intention wasn't quite that way, but the way I took it was a certain way because of my hypersensitivity. So if I can address that within myself and heal that within myself, which is what I'm in process of doing, then I can experience something and just have that discernment where it's okay. It doesn't distort the vision, is what I'm saying. Like the vision is not distorted by the hypersensitivity, because sometimes the hypersensitivity can make you see things that's not quite the case, or can make you
And
exaggerate something that's not quite the case.
the antidote that God wants us to remember to that is
Mhm.
unconditional love.
Is
Love
unconditional
beyond any conditions.
love.
So we just were
Yes,
speaking about this
that's
just
powerful.
recently. So when men tap into their feminine energy, they're going to understand that, okay, honey, you're on your menstrual today. I'm going to go ahead and maybe take one of these chores off.
I'm gonna make your life a little bit easier.
They understand that they can tap into their creative side and still be the man
And still be
leader.
secure in himself.
He can also understand that in his absence, that the woman may have to step into her masculinity to say, okay, I have to manage this household as the second in command
Yeah.
to my leader, as not really second in command, maybe, but second in command, because we come together as one and the Lord is the head. God is the head.
I honestly believe that I feel like when the masculine and feminine principles are at peace within ourselves, then that's when we can be at peace with the masculine and feminine principles in our relationships. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if we entertain being at odds with the masculine principle, then that would suggest that there's some discord within ourselves, within our own masculine and feminine principles. 'Cause I feel like everybody possesses it. Every woman possesses a masculine and feminine principle. Every man possesses a masculine and feminine principle.
We were designed to.
Correct. And then one principle presents a little bit more than the other, but both sides are present. It's the yin and the yang, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So both sides are present.
Yes.
And I think that when we can find balance within ourselves, then that balance will reflect within our relationships as well. And I think a
it
lot
will
of
come out as unconditional love.
as unconditional
So when-
love, because it's
When that man
unbalanced.
takes out
Correct.
the trash, you understand that, okay, people, so when that man takes out the trash, let me finish this part. It is such a profound thing that he understands that, okay, hey, I got the dishes, I got the bathroom, I did the laundry, baby, I ironed her clothes, they're all laid out, but I don't want to touch that trash. I don't want to push that lawnmower. It's sometimes the world today has created this stigma with our women that they don't need men and over hyper independent. That was not God's creation.
And you know, it's crazy. I saw a post on Instagram and it was like, for Black women, people showing up for Black women is a love language or something like that, right? And I'm like, yo, I feel like it's a love language that was developed by trauma response for real. So I feel like this push of independence, the independent woman, especially the independent Black woman, I'm a lady, I don't need no man. I feel like that is a trauma response.
It for sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's like when you see children in the system, when they've been in foster care for a long time and a family picks them up, they'll give that family a very hard time. It'll make it very hard for that family to bond with them, because it's almost as I'm not going to let my guard down for you to disappoint me. So I'm just going to protect myself and fuck it up now. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm just going to do what I need to do now. Like, I don't trust you.
It's about,
you know what I'm saying?
People shutting down,
Correct.
not understanding
Correct.
the value of community and the connectivity.
Correct.
God told us again in the creation story, He designed everything intricately on purpose.
But I think in order to get back, and I think that we would naturally operate that way. Like, I think naturally, if we remove the filters of fear and trauma, which is fear embodied, if we could just tackle fear and release it, right? Then I think we will naturally vibe that way. Because even women, like I've seen the hardest women, like women that's hard, hard around the edges, they get into the right relationship, they domestic to the mud. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, no, okay. And they fought for woman era, and I'm here for it, right? So I honestly think that if we can just remove the fear and the filters that cause us to move and overcompensate in certain areas, right? Then we'll naturally fall into place. I think things will naturally fall into place because we can't help. It's like we were talking about nature, right? Like how plants turn up when it's about to rain.
That's a natural.
And if we were in tune, you know what I'm saying? If we were living, because we live unnaturally, working and running the way we run and minimal sleep, eating the slop that we eat and shit, that's
Working
unnatural.
overnight, God did not
Correct.
design us.
That's unnatural. So if
It's
we were
very
in
unnatural.
tune with nature, the way nature is in tune with nature, you know what I'm saying? Or the rest of nature is in tune with nature, then we would be receptive to those things too. It would be a natural thing for us.
Hard.
And this is the reason why, like we was talking about, this is the reason why the ego runs so rampant with humans. This is the reason why humans are so disconnected, because the way humans live is just unnatural, right? This is why we have all those issues, because you don't see lions, male lions out here talking about, you don't see the male, like the female lioness is talking about, no, fuck these male lions. We don't need y'all. You know what I'm saying? We about to live, we about to live. You know what I'm saying? You don't see flowers from now, nah, not about to pollinate myself. Forget you need your pollen. Fuck your pollen. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
need the bees to
you
carry
don't
my
see-
pollen over
you
there.
don't.
Just let the wind do it.
you
Forget
see it, like,
you.
nah, I'm gonna blow the I can do it myself. You don't see plants doing that. But it's humans. It's not fuck these niggas. I don't need that.
But naturally,
It is just
designed.
it is not, yes, it is unnatural. And I think, like you say, yes, embracing unconditional love is
Yes.
a really wonderful thing. But I think everything starts with a seed and then expands when it's nurtured and watered. As above, so below. We see that. Don't let this microwave popcorn culture make you think that you can snap your fingers and go to bed and wake up a whole new person. So
Requires hard, dedicated, so
consistent,
deep
exactly.
work. It's a daily thing, and it's not just a thing that I do in the morning and move on and say, you know what? I got my Jesus, I got my God, I got
Yes,
my
like
God, I got my
day.
I got my Most High. No, it's minute by minute.
Come on now. A second.
Hour by hour.
It's
Every single moment
Every single time.
has to count every single way, because we can get so caught up. I can sit here and tell you how I planned out my hair. I said, listen, I'm going to have this person take the kids and this person do this. And then this morning, I get a phone call, this person sick. And baby, I could have been, or I planned this. I told you it. No, I'm like, I am here. Okay, no matter what happened, it worked out, because why? God said it was already done, baby. That's why. And now you move on.
And now
you
you
go
move
do
on.
what you need to do for you.
Yeah.
And you'll continue to shine.
And you'll continue to
because
shine.
the God in you chose to
So-
have that peace. It's a choice. I get up when I meditate, I make a choice to meditate, to take those deep breaths, to connect with my heart, which is, in my way of a metaphor, I'm not a man, but it's like the engine to a car. If you have no functional engine in your car,
What you doing? What you about to do?
yes, we have to breathe. And something as simple and profound as our breath, bringing us back to connectivity.
Yes.
Let me just go ahead and tell you, as a medical provider, you cannot breathe and be angry at the same time.
Yeah.
Baby, take those breaths.
Yeah.
Promise you.
Literally, you can't be tense and tight and ain't breathing at the same time. Correct.
It's unnatural.
It naturally induces relaxation. Absolutely.
Take those
And you know what?
those breaths.
When you talk about those things, what I think about is expressions of self-love. You know what I'm saying? Giving yourself those simple moments, giving yourself those spaces to just be, like that grace. And so you mentioned something about, how do you heal the fear? Like, how do we start to heal the disconnect between our relationships and even with our relationship with ourselves? You mentioned unconditional love, right? So how do we embody unconditional love? How do we go from a space of fear, living in fear and living in limitation, to being a beacon of unconditional love? How do you nurture and cultivate unconditional love in your life? And I think you plant the seed. You can plant the seed by starting with yourself. Yes, express unconditional love to yourself. So like you said, give yourself that grace. And I understand, okay, so life is not always set up to where, okay, I'm tired, I'm going to stop everything and rest right now. I get that. It's not always set. I know my life is not set up like that. Not yet anyway. It will be one day, you know what I'm saying? One day soon, but not right now. But I understand, like, okay,
in progress.
we're a work in progress. But I intentionally schedule rest. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I know if I have a busy couple weeks, I have a lot going on, deadlines are not going to wait. And my life is not going to stop. And I have other people that I'm working with that I'm accountable to. So I can't just be like, you know what? Throw my hands up. I'm tired today. I got a headache.
But that
I'm shutting down.
unconditional love for yourself, to say, I will love me beyond the condition of money, deadlines, bills, other people, whatever they want to do or their plans for me. I took this time to say that I am connected enough to know that I need to rest. And it is essential. because even our creator rested. It is in the story.
And I think that's why it's important because, again, you don't always have the luxury to just stop in the moment. But that's what I think being intentional and setting your life up in a way where it's sustainable. Those are acts of self love, man. Like being intentional, packing your meals, you know what I'm saying? Those are acts of self love, like planning ahead. You see what I'm about to do. I got the fork in my hand. You know what I'm talking about? To heat my food up again. Because don't be out here cooking. But just little things like that, like work with yourself. And that's what I was telling my son yesterday because he was frustrated with himself because he forgot something and he got frustrated with himself and then he was upset and then he dropped his container on the floor and his food spilled out. So now he's just feeling like I just can't do anything. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, sweetheart, in times like that, give yourself grace. Work with yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's how you get better.
And remember, we said earlier, those are the times where we definitely want to stop and say, okay, what is the lesson in this moment?
Yeah.
What is my lesson? What am I supposed to learn? Not how can I just get through this or how you want me to, how I'm hungry. So how do you expect me to be happy and I'm hungry? We get it. It's not the how, it's the what. Find the what, find the purpose. And everything that we go through is never by accident. It's all by design. And it started with a choice.
My survival and sovereign workshops, like this is literally one of the things we focus on, like reframing your perspective on things because, and this is the idea that came up is why I started the shop talks. I'm glad we circling back around.
Bring it back,
Because
baby.
this is so important to learn how to reframe the definition or the meaning that you give things in your life because we are the creators of our reality. When we create our reality, a big part of our reality is created through our perspectives. And
our manifestations, our words, it's in the word that there is life and there is death in the power of the tongue. So if we are speaking negatively over ourselves, our subconscious does not know a joke. So if people are quote unquote joking about themselves and saying, oh, I'm a big back or things like that, then that's what essentially is going to be manifest. You're putting that into the air and it's going to come to fruition the more that you continue to manifest it. So we have to speak life continually. It's not easy.
I think in order to do that, or before we even get to the spoken, the paradigm, the font, correct.
Yes, your mind
The
is your
lens in
biggest
which we process life.
battlefield.
And so that's the battlefield because that's where it all starts. That's where the seed is. And
We
so,
spoke on mental health earlier.
yeah. So if I have a paradigm that life is hard, okay, and if I face a situation that's challenging, that's uncomfortable, but my paradigm is life is hard, then the thoughts that follow is just going to feed that perspective. I will receive this challenge from that perspective. So the actions that I'll take and the way I'll respond to it, it's just going to reflect the life is hard paradigm. Okay. But if I have a paradigm,
like you were saying earlier,
you know what I'm saying? But if I have a paradigm, if I have a perspective that, life is always working for my benefit, if that's my overarching perspective, my belief system, okay, that's the way I see life. So now if I experience a situation that's challenging, then that paradigm, though, in order for me to make sense, because see, what we have to understand is the mind will delete, distort, and generalize whatever input we get so that it can align with our paradigm.
yeah,
Okay, so if it's the paradigm that takes precedence, anything that happens, our mind will generalize, delete, and distort it so that it's in alignment with that.
about the woman becoming soft. If the woman has the paradigm in her mind,
A man can't be trusted.
she might meet the love of her.
And she will see him as someone that can't be trusted. But if she has a paradigm or belief system that I can meet the right person, you feel what I'm saying? Then the right person coming along, and it doesn't mean that the next person that comes along will be the right person, but it just means that she'll be able to recognize them when they come. And so again, if we have a paradigm that life is always working for us, that means that when we face a situation that seems uncomfortable, we're not going to shut down. We're going to press forward to see, okay, how is this working for me? Because I know that life is always working for me. So this has to be working for me too. How is it working for me? And so if we can embrace that perspective, the way that we will approach it, the thoughts that we'll have that follow up, the words that we'll speak, the actions that we'll take will be in alignment with life is working for me. That leads to success. That's inevitable. You feel what I'm saying? And so I just wanted to, I'm going to wrap this up because we have 30 minutes. I'm going to definitely have to edit this. But
Man, you
but
get that good energy, that good talk, baby. Sometimes it's hard. We're never designed to keep it to ourselves. We're
no.
supposed to share. We're to give our testimonies. It's in the work. That's how you help other people grow. That's the water that you're pouring into other people so they can grow in their areas by saying, you know what? I understand that this sister that's out here smiling. And every time I look at her, I just think she's so perfect. But she's telling me about how she was slapped around and she was beat on and she maybe had a PFA or this and or her life was with inches of her at one point. And baby, she woke up and found herself and she embraced that, not as a negative thing, but as what it was to help her move forward. So now that we can recognize it and we won't do that thing again. But as we continue to progress forward, we can water ourselves and others through those moments, those experiences, because they are important. They mean something. They matter.
And it always adds up. But yes, thanks for watching. Thank you, Leanne, for sharing your wisdom and your perspectives.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching, fam. Peace.